Praise the Lord, children. We have to praise the Lord for so many things. Lord, the creator of the world, with all our needs to live a happy and peaceful life. Lord has created so many things and He is taking care of us all the times. And also He worries about us as we are the sinners, as we are not worrying about our salvation, but Lord is worrying about our salvation. So He was the creator. He made all the things beautiful on His time. And also He makes us to meet all the needs what we want. And also He worries about our salvation. So we have to praise the Lord. Children, if you want success in your life, take small efforts every day. Surely that will take you to the success. Because success is the sum of several small efforts, repeated often day in and day out. So today, tomorrow and day after tomorrow, in all the days, if you take small efforts, and surely you can reach the success. Will you, children? Yes. Welcome to our social class, children. We are learning Civics Unit 4, Human Rights and UNO. In the past two classes, we have learned what are human rights and where does it arise from and what are the steps taken by the UNO for protecting the human rights. So before entering into today's class, let's have a small recap of what we learned so far. We are learning Civics Unit 4, Human Rights and UNO. Let's recall what we have learned so far. First, we have seen what are human rights. What are human rights, people? Human rights are rights inherent to all human beings regardless of race, sex, nationality, ethnicity, language and religion, and also include some of the freedoms. What are the freedoms? Freedom from slavery and torture, freedom from opinion and expression and fair trial, the right to life, work and education. Next, we have seen where do human rights come from. That is, Europe and America played an important role in the formation of human rights. In America, before the independence of India, so many acts were passed by them. And also in US also, in 1791, a bill was passed. And another thing is the birth of United Nations. When United Nations was born, it gave more importance for the protection of human rights, especially after the Second World War. All the important nations in the world, they gathered together at San Francisco meeting, and in 1945 it was declared, they issued a charter for the promotion of human rights. So it gave more importance for the protecting human rights, and the UNO was formed in 24th October 1945. That's why 24th October 1945 is celebrated as the UNO Day. And another important thing is the UDHR, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So that was the written one of the greatest achievement of the United Nations in the creation of human rights. And it took some of the principles and provisions from the Cyrus Cylinder of 539 BC also. And it was framed by Eleanor Roosevelt, who was the US President's wife. And it was passed in 1948, and 10th December it was passed. So every year 10th December we are celebrating that as the Human Rights Day. That day when UDHR was passed. Okay, and the preamble of UDHR consisted that all men are born free and all are equal in status and rights. Next, we have learned the basic values and basic characteristics of human rights. There are three important values are there for human rights. What are they? Dignity, justice and equality. And what are the basic characteristics of human rights? Human rights are inherent, that is, they are not granted by any person or authority. We all the human, those who are born as a humans, they inherit that one, and they are fundamental rights, and the basic characteristics, they are inalienable, that is, nobody can take them away from the individual, and indivisible, that is, they cannot be divided based on any other rights, and they are universal, it is common for all over the world. and it is interdependent. That is, each and every one of the humans must help each other to protect the human rights. Next, we have seen kinds of human rights. There are 5 primary kinds of human rights according to the Constitution. 30 articles are there. What are the kinds of human rights? Civil rights, that is, right include life, liberty, freedom from slavery, arbitrary arrest, etc. Then political rights, that is freedom of expression, peaceful assembly, right to vote, freedom to speech, and freedom to obtain information. Social rights, that is, the social rights are those rights necessary for adequate standard of living, including right to education, health care, food, clothing, shelter, etc. Then the economic rights, that is, economic rights are the important one. There is the right to employment and fair wages, reasonable limitation on the working hours, shelter, adequate standard of living, right to property. Everything comes under the economic rights. And the cultural rights, that is the right to freedom of religion and to speak language and to practice the cultural life of community, right, and share the scientific advancement, and right for protection from the moral and material interest. So these are the 5 primary kinds of human rights. Next we will learn differences between human rights and civil rights. There are 4 differences are there. Human rights belong to everyone, everywhere, regardless of nationality, sexuality, gender, race, religion or age. But civil rights are those rights that one can enjoy with the virtue of the citizenship of a particular nation. And human rights are considered universal, but civil rights are greatly for a country, from a country or a government. And no nation may rightfully deprive human rights, but some of the different nations can guarantee or deny the civil rights. Human rights are the basic rights inherent with the birth, but civil rights are the creation of the society. These were the differences between human rights and civil rights. Next, we have seen about the formation of Human Rights Commission. Who decided to form the Human Rights Commission in each and every nation? There is the Economic and Social Council, ECOSOC. That is the Economic and Social Council, which was the principal organ of the United Nations. It was empowered to set up a commission for the promotion of human rights at a national level and also at the state level, and they are established for the main purpose to ensure the protection of human rights. So according to the information given by Economic and Social Council, NHRC was formed in each and every nation at the national level. So the National Human Rights Commission of India, that was established on 20th October 1993, and it is an independent one. It is a non-constitutional body. Where is its headquarters located? Its headquarters located at New Delhi, because it is the capital of India. And NHRC is a multi-member body consisting of a chairman, that is a chairperson, and some other members. All these people are appointed by the president. And how long they can be in the position? Up to 5 years or till the age of 70 years. And how many divisions are there in the NHRC? 5 divisions. Law Division, Investigation Division, Policy Research and Programs Division, Training Division, and also Administrative Division. The main responsibility of the NHRC is protecting and promoting the human rights in India. Next we learned about State Human Rights Commission. According to the advice of the UNO, in each and every state of the nations, we have the State Human Rights Commission. In our state, that is in Tamil Nadu, on 17th April 1997, SHRC was formed. And look after the functions protecting of human rights at the state level. It has 3 members and a chairperson. All these people are appointed by the Governor of Tamil Nadu. Do you know who is the Governor of Tamil Nadu at present? Banwarilal Purohit. Yes. And who is the President of India? People, do you know that? The President of India is Ramnath Kovind. The President appoints the members of the NHRC, but the Governor appoints the members of the SHRC. SHRC, the State Human Rights Commission, can inquire into the violation of human rights, those who are not obeying the human rights, and they are subjected under the cover of state list and concurrent list upon the 7th schedule of the Indian Constitution. And the present day NHRC, their chairman is Mr. Dutt. Apart from NHRC and SHRC, so many organizations were there protecting the human rights. So NHRC is the National Human Rights Commission, and according to their advice, so many other organizations also around the world, they have taken efforts to protect the human rights and for ending the human rights abuses. The non-government organization also there, the actions of the government and the pressure on them to act according to the human rights principles. Some of these organizations are Amnesty International, Children's Defense Fund and Human Rights Watch. And in our constitution, there are so many articles. Article 24, it prohibits child labor. Article 39F, it provides for children to develop in a healthy manner. And 45, it provides early childhood care and education for all the children. Especially for protecting children in India, Human Rights Organization has taken. Let us see what are the child rights. So UNO and NHRC and SHRC, they took lot of efforts to protect the children. People, you are all important resource to our nation, children, because today's children are the future citizens of the country. So you are all great resources to each and every family, not only to the family, to the country also. So to protect the children and to give them a good life, UNO and all other human rights commissions has taken lot of rights for the children. Let us see what are the children rights. So the first right guaranteed by the UNO for the children are right to education, because education makes the children's life bright. That's why the first right is right to education. So the first right guaranteed to all the children are right to education. That is according to Article 21A of our Constitution. It provides that the state shall provide free and compulsory education to all children aged from 6 to 14 years of age. So right to education in India is a fundamental right to all the Indians. Another great tragedy for children in India, especially in India, is the child labor. So government stresses say no to child labor and yes to education. The next important act to protect the children is the Child Labor Act. There's a Prohibition and Regulation Act which was passed in the year 1986. According to the act, no child who has not completed 15 years of age can be employed. That is, a child who has completed 15 years of age can be employed. But no child, those who not completed 15 years of age, can be employed anywhere. That is offensible according to our law. So child labor law in India, it provides free and compulsory education for 6 to 14 years of age and opportunities to develop in healthy manner. That's why free food and healthy foods are given by the government. And the childhood protected from moral and material abandonment. So these are the fundamental rights according to our constitution for each and every child who born in India. Another important problem about the children, some of the children are deprived by their parents, and some of the children by some of the calamities or some disasters they lose their parents. But some of the children, due to their economic condition, very poor economic condition of the family, they are deprived by the parents and no adequate care, and so government has taken steps to protect the children. That a special act was passed in the year 2000, that is called by the name Juvenile Justice Act for care and protection of children. The Juvenile Justice Act was passed in the year 2000. It is main aim to protect children, those who are deprived of adequate care, and to reform the children by adopting child-friendly approach. Because children are the future citizens of India, they must be taken care of the childhood days itself. Another great problem nowadays for children is abusing them. There is even animals are not abusing the younger ones, but the human beings, they are abusing the younger ones a lot. So especially to protect the female children and also the male children from the sexual harassment and also from the other offences. Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act, which was passed in the year 2012. POCSO Act was passed by the government in 2012. The expansion of POCSO is protection of child from sexual offences. So, girl child or male child, you should be very careful while you are moving in a society, especially when you are moving in a crowd or when you are called by any of the individuals. You should be alert. Always be with your parents and follow the guidance of the parents, because in our society, so much of sexual offences are there for both the children. So, especially to protect the children from sexual offences, POCSO was passed in the year 2012. At the best interest of the child as being paramount importance in every state, government has passed this act. Children, do you know what is this 1098 stands for? It's an important information to all children. This 1098 is a child line. That is India's first 24 hours free emergency phone service for children in need of assistance. Suppose if you are caught in any of the unknown places, you don't know how to reach home, or suppose anybody tried to kidnap you or anybody tried to abuse you, if you have a phone, you just dial 1098. Special care is given for vulnerable children, those who are affected by child labor, child marriage, children affected by any abuse. You can call 1098. And even though it declared 1978 as the International Year of Women, because that year it took a lot of provisions to safeguard the women all over the world. And the year 1979 as the International Year of Children. So which was the International Year of Women? 1978. And International Year of Children was 1979. Like children, women are also important part of the nation. For each and every home, mother is very important. Like the same, for each and every nation, women should be protected. So women's rights and girls' rights are also human rights. Women are entitled to the full and equal enjoyment of all their human rights, children, free from all forms of discrimination. So what are the women rights guaranteed by our nation? Let us see. So women and girls' rights are also considered to be the human rights. Let us see what are the rights guaranteed by the government to the women. So women are considered to be important part of the society, and they have the equal enjoyment of all their human rights and free from any discrimination. So it is a fundamental to achieve human right, peace and security and sustainable development. So the United Nations guarantees equal rights to both women and men. So boys don't discriminate the other gender by any reasons. So there was a convention adopted in 1979 by the UN General Assembly, which is known as the CEDAW, Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination. That is, no discrimination against women. That was adopted in the year 1979 by the UN General Assembly, described as an international bill of rights for women. Not only for any particular nation, it is an international bill, means all over the world, the women should be under the security of the government. No discrimination should be shown against the women. So in the year 1995, there was the 4th World Conference of Women held in Beijing. It developed a platform for actions to recognize women's rights and improve women's livelihood worldwide. And follow-up meetings monitored progress towards the meeting of these goals. So where was the 4th World Conference of Women held? In Beijing in the year 1995. What did it provide for? A very good platform for the action to recognize women's rights. And to achieve the actions taken in the 4th World Conference in 1995, UNIFEM was formed. That is the United Nations Development Fund for Women. UNIFEM means United Nations Development Fund for Women. It has worked since 1995 to implement the Beijing platform for action. So only when women and girls have full access to the rights will truly exist. So it said that UN insisted that only when women and girls have full access to their rights without any barrier, Then only equality exists in the society. So apart from all these, one more important act was passed. That is Maintenance and Welfare of Parents and Senior Citizens Act 2007. Why this act was passed means it's a legal obligation for children and heirs to provide maintenance to senior citizen and parents. People at this age, you love your parents, but when you grow up and when you get job of your own, and when you are earning by yourself, at that time also you must love your parents. Take care of them. Understand the sacrifices they made for your life. So when your parents become older, you must take a lot of care on them. If you don't take care of your parents and abandon them, it is legally offense. That for that people only Maintenance and Welfare of Parents and Senior Citizen Act of 2007 was passed. That is, it says that it's a legal obligation according to law. Every children and heirs to provide maintenance and to senior citizen and also to parents. Protection and support during the old age are envisaged as human rights. So the old age protection and also taking care of them, supporting them is one of the human rights. Leave children. So let's conclude this lesson, children. We have learned about human rights. Human rights are about equality and fairness for everyone and ensures that everyone should be treated with dignity and respect. The protection of human rights is everyone's responsibility. Each and every one of the nation, not only NHRC or HSRC or even more, they have to protect the human right. Each and everyone. Already when we learned about the basic characteristics of human rights, it is interdependent. That is, each and everyone's human right is interdependent on one another. So it's everyone's responsibility to protect the human rights. So children, an understanding and respect for human rights provides the foundation for peace, harmony, security and freedom in our country. So it's our duty to respect and protect and be concerned with the others in respect of the human rights. Children, this is the legislations and provisions regarding women's rights which are given in the tabular column of your book. The first one is the Hindu Widow Remarriage Act of 1856. Before independence it was passed and it legalized the widow remarriage. Next, Hindu Marriage Act of 1955. It is after independence. States that marriageable age for women is 21. And the Hindu Succession Act of 1956. It ensures the right to women to inherit their parental property. So boys, keep it in mind, you cannot take the parents' property for yourself. You have to share it with your sisters. So Hindu Succession Act of 1956 ensures the right to women to inherit the parental property. Then Dowry Prohibition Act of 1961. Getting dowry and giving dowry is offense, providing drastic punishments for those ill-treating the bride in the name of dowry. Then the Eve Teasing Act of 1997, that is, don't tease any girls. Give reliefs to women from the teasing of some indecent fellows. And Indecent Representation Act of 1999, it prohibits the indecent representation of women in any magazines or newspaper, etc. Then about the women workers, the Factory Act of 1948, the Plantation Labor Act of 1951, the Mines Act 1952, the Maternity Benefits Act of 1961, all protects the women workers. And the Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act was passed in 2005. It protects the women from harassment by husband or family members. So many legislations were passed by our government to protect the women. Children, hope that you understood this lesson well, go through the class well and do the homework given in the homework page. God bless you all, children. Be submissive to your parents, be obedient to your parents, always respect them. God will bless you then. And thank you, children. Have a great day.